tomorrow after breakfast we're leaving for Dublin. And I thought today we would, just before coming over, I thought we would read something. Today I saw my calendar, it says September the 12th, correct? Mm-hmm. September the 12th. It's the same date as it is in France. Yes, so I thought we would read something about Srila Prabhupada and his voyage, which of course next year will be the 60 years. 60 years ago, Srila Prabhupada was on the boat, because we're coming on the boat here to the island, you see. So, Prabhupada was on the Jaladuta boat, and I don't know if your boat is called the Jaladuta or not. Your barge, is it Jaladuta? Balaram barge, okay, the Balaram barge. So you're constantly...
Well, actually, the ship that Prabhupada was riding on was called the Jaladuta, so you were right on that part.
Good, not the barge. So the barge is the Balaram barge, and you have to pray to Lord Balaram regularly for the strength that the barge keeps going, is it? Lifts it up. Make sure.
It's a good time for prayer.
Huh?
It's a good time for prayer.
Good time for prayer every time you cross on the barge, and even better time when you come on the rowing boat, huh? What to do? Don't know what's happening over there. So I thought we would read something from this diary of Srila Prabhupada. Many of you have seen in Ukrainian language. You have the Jaladuta diary in Ukrainian. You have? I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Haribol. Wow, what a surprise, wonderful surprise. Hare Krishna. The Ukrainian language, maybe, or in Russian probably they have at least. The Jaladuta diary. The Prabhupada was keeping a diary of his journey. Sometimes people like to hear diaries, people's diaries, famous diaries. Sometimes, Haribol, they like to read about a person's journey into the unknown or whatever. And so this is just like Radhanath Swami has written The Journey Home, very popular book with the public. Devotees also maybe. But especially with the public, they like to read this book, The Journey Home. And I don't know if you can say a book, but there's at least a diary of Prabhupada's journey to America. Of course, you could say the Lilamrita itself is explaining that journey of Prabhupada's, because his whole life, our life is a journey. We also want journey home. And this is specifically Prabhupada's journey from Calcutta to New York, and a little bit beyond also. And then there's another diary which Prabhupada kept, which only surfaced many years later. Both of them actually were late. They came late in terms of the Lilamrita, for instance. Even the Jaladuta diary was a late discovery, and many of the facts mentioned in the Lilamrita, particularly the beginning, the diary, the beginning, were not taken into account when the Lilamrita was written, and they don't always correspond with what we read in the Lilamrita. But the spirit is there. So I thought we would read a little bit to this evening, but we'll start, and maybe we'll sing. Tomorrow is the 13th of September, Friday the 13th, and a very auspicious day.
Are you sure about that? Because in the Western world, Friday the 13th is considered unlucky.
Really? My goodness. I wonder what my problem was. Now I know. Well, Prabhupada left Calcutta on the 13th, Friday the 13th, when he left Calcutta. The Jaladuta left Calcutta on the 13th of August, Friday, 1965. So I don't know if it was unlucky. It was certainly unlucky for the materialists in one sense. Another sense, lucky. It depends which way we look at it. But certainly a very auspicious occasion. Friday the 13th of August, 1965. And now tomorrow is also Friday the 13th, 2024. But we're on the 12th, so we'll combine the two since we won't go there tomorrow. Tonight with the 2 days, or maybe 3 days of Prabhupada on board the Jaladuta, alone on board that cargo ship. There were about 40 members on board, mostly crew members and a couple of passengers. And that was it, sailing across the oceans to the far distant shore. Jai Prabhupada. Namo. Maybe Peter Pro needs some help. You okay? You okay? Can you get up? Sometimes it's good to do it yourself. They tell me that. I know people help me, and I'm very selfish, but it's sometimes said to be good if you can do it yourself. It keeps you going better. So they say. Namo Vishnu Padaya. I might go a little bit higher. Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nivasesha Sunyavadi Astyachadishatarine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvashesha Shvanavari Sacharishatari Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Go Premanandi. Hare Bo, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Bonitai ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Govinda Maharaj, Shri Shri Radha Govinda Maharaj, Shri Shri Radha Govinda ki. Go Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Nama Om Vishnu Vidaya, Krishna Vastaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namo. Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Vicharini Nirvasesha Sunyavadi Pastyacha Deshatarine. This evening we're going to read a little bit from the Jaladuta diary, Srila Prabhupada's account of his journey from Calcutta to America. And of course this has been foretold a long time ago. Various predictions, you could say, or foretellings more than predictions, because they're the words of Krishna himself. They're not predictions exactly, they're facts which will come into place. And even in Dwarka, after the Lord had sent Narada Muni on his mission to spread the good tidings, so to speak, that the Lord would appear in this age in his golden form to spread the holy name everywhere. And when eventually Narada Muni reached Golok, Vrindavan, and had the darshan of Lord Gauranga, and was assured by the Lord himself that he would appear in this age of Kali in a golden form, the one you're seeing now, and I will deliver everyone from the grip of Kali, deliver them. And those who try to flee, run away and go to foreign places like Ireland, Germany, England, Australia, America, Ukraine, all trying to run away, escape. He said, I will send more Senapati Bhakta. More Senapati Bhakta, as you may know, means more Senapati Bhakta. What does it mean? You've heard this statement, more Senapati Bhakta? Pardon? No, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said this to Narada Muni, that I will send more Senapati Bhakta. Those persons who flee to foreign places and try to escape me, I will send more Senapati Bhakta to capture them and bring them back. Pardon?
General.
My chief field commander. I will send my chief field commander into the world, and he will go everywhere and bring those souls who've run away to foreign lands. Bring them to Lord Chaitanya, eventually. And again, the history is there, in the Ananta Samhita, I think this is described, another script, that once on a time, in the beginning of this Kali Yuga, right at the beginning, when the Lord was in Dwarka also, that Mother Ganga personified the Ganga River, went to Dwarka to see Krishna. She was very unhappy. My Lord, Kali Yuga is about to begin. What shall I do? Terrible situation. Huh? People will be so sinful, my Lord. Nobody will be a devotee in this age, practically speaking. Kali Yuga. They will simply come to my river. They will come to me and they'll just throw their garbage in me. You see, literally that's going on. She was meaning in terms of dumping, depositing their sinful reactions, full stop. That's it, no change of heart. In other words, she was seeing as she would just become like a garbage dump for sinful people. So she said to the Lord, my Lord, please allow me to disappear. I don't want to be present during this age. So the Lord said to her, no, don't worry, my dear Ganga Devi, don't worry. I will be appearing very soon in this age. And I will also be sending Mantra Upasaka. When I come, I will bathe in your waters and all of my associates. But even after that, he said, very shortly after that, I will send Mantra Upasaka. Mantra Upasaka means the worshipper of the holy name. One who's worshipping me in the form of the holy name. He will come and he will go to all the foreign lands of the world. And he will convert sinful people into devotees. And they will come and they will bathe in your water. And you will feel great happiness. They will come from all over the world, in far distant countries. So another prediction was there of such a personality appearing to fulfill that statement of the Lord also. Fast forward to Lord Chaitanya's not final, but his appearance in this age. He also predicted, isn't it? Prativiti, we foretold, Prativiti Achiati Nagaradi Gram. That in every town and village of the world, my holy name will be heard and chanted. Huh? Amazing, huh? Who would think? Even, we go back maybe, what is it now? Much less than 100 years ago, maybe in the 1940s, so 70, 80, whatever years passed, when Srila Prabhupada was preaching in Calcutta, he was working, he wasn't really doing very much active preaching in a sense of preparing, but his godbrothers, some of them were staying in his house in Calcutta. He opened his house for some of his sannyas and brahmachari devotees were there, some of his godbrothers and their disciples were there, preaching in Calcutta, And the story goes, I mean, you hear different variations of it, but they were discussing this verse, Pritipati Achiati Nagaradi Gram Sarva Kritpachura, we be more Nam. In every town and village of the world, the holy name will be heard and chanted. So there wasn't much sign of that going on at that time. The chanting was going on maybe in India, in some parts, but not much outside of India at all. A few godbrothers had tried, but hardly anything had happened. A little bit, but not much.
Oh, I actually heard, someone say that like when Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur sent some of his disciples outside of India to try to see which one of them was worthy, was lucky enough to actually be able to be the chosen one, to be the one who would be destined to spread the message of Krishna consciousness all over the world, like most of the other disciples of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur who were sent by him to go preach outside of India before Srila Prabhupada, like they basically did the same thing that most of the non-Vaishnava gurus who were preaching outside of India did. They basically only preached to the foreigners who had a lot of money.
Ah, okay. They were selective like that. That could well be true. But nobody had really fulfilled or made a serious effort to fulfill this statement of Lord Chaitanya. And when they were discussing in Prabhupada's room,
I was one time said this Bhavananda for me, and he said Prabhupada told him personally in Vrindavan in his room.
yeah, this is what I'm going to tell now. I heard it from him also.
I didn't want to come here.
Yeah.
Prabhupada said, but Krishna said you should go. He said, but this is a very dangerous place. Krishna said, I will give you protection.
Krishna told him to come. His guru told him to come too, basically, to spread this mission in the English language all over the world. Prabhupada didn't get that exclusive order. It was given to many devotees, but only Prabhupada did it. And he gave that as an example. He used Christopher Columbus as an example. Christopher Columbus was given the credit of discovering America. Is that right? Yes.
Yeah, but now the Americans don't celebrate his holiday anymore because they found out of what he did once he discovered that new land.
Great.
He basically made things a living hell for the people who lived in those new lands he discovered.
That's right, exactly. Anyway, he gave an example when he returned back to Portugal. So, what credit have you got? Anyone could have done that. What's the big deal? Why are you getting the name? And he said, okay, that's given a good example. Gave an example. Okay, how many of you can stand an egg on its end? Take an egg, chicken's egg, stand it on its end. You ever tried? Maybe when you were kids. No, that came second. Have you tried to stand it on its end? Beep, 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 beep. It won't stay still. It's lucid inside. Nobody could do it. And see, you can't do it. You said anyone can do it, but no one can do it. So, well, what about you, Columbus? Can you do it? And as you said, he took a little spoon and tap on the end and put it on the table and it stood upright. God, anyone could have done that, they all said. Anyone could have done that. He said, yes, but you didn't do it. You didn't do it. Well, maybe not anyone could have done it. Prabhupada was special, amongst the special, no doubt. But the principle is there, that Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj asked apparently many of his disciples to do so, but they didn't do it. But Prabhupada did. And when he was in that room in Calcutta, I heard this from Bhavananda, it was a little bit different to what you heard, it's another thing. It's not the same subject. It's the same subject, but a different aspect, another part of it, maybe. That they were talking about this verse, Priti Vidyati Nagarari Gram, when Prabhupada came in one evening. He'd been out on business. So he was a grihasta. They were all sannyasis, brahmacharis, dedicated all their time to the mission. Prabhupada was working business, doing a little service, this and that, whatever he could do. And and Prabhupada asked them, he said, well, look, wait a minute, we're reading this verse, it's from Lord Chaitanya, it's from Chaitanya Charitamrita. So what's going to happen? Who's going to do this? Well, there's nothing happening. We're just chanting a little bit here in Calcutta and here and there, but who's going to go all over the world and spread this message? And everyone was like, if we ask you all here today, who's going to go? Now think of a country in the world where there's no preaching going on. Think of a country.
Oh, I got one.
Where's that?
Well, let's see.
Oh, wait a minute, you haven't got it yet. Think about it, and when you remembered it.
I think I actually know of one example. There is one country in Africa that does not have an ISKCON center yet.
Really?
And
I can tell you when.
It's a well-known one because you could literally see it as a small island off the coast of the rest of the continent on the map.
Okay.
Madagascar.
Madagascar, okay. Okay, I can tell you frankly, we have devotees in Madagascar. French devotees there preaching, so something's going on there. But there are many countries where nothing's going, particularly on the surface at least, isn't it? Many Muslim countries are still waiting. Time, I think. Pardon?
Saudi Arabia.
Well, even in Saudi Arabia, there are many devotees there. I don't know if actually there's any country where there's no devotees preaching now. I don't know. Huh?
North Korea?
North Korea, maybe? I don't know if there's anything going on in North Korea. I never heard of anything.
Antarctica?
Oh, well, no, we preached there. Prabhupada's sets of books are in Antarctica. Devotees went there. They didn't go there, they sent the books there a few years ago. And the books are in some of the research stations there. There's not many people down there, well, at least not visible.
The people there are just the people
working down there.
research
Exactly.
stations.
So let's say there's a country, a very difficult place, as Prithu Prabhupada said, is a very dangerous and difficult place, America. So what to speak of if you were given the mission of going to, say, I don't know, North Korea to preach? How many of you would put your hands up? You're going alone, by the way, with no money. Very rare to find devotees who would take this risk nowadays. When Prithu Prabhu, when you were a young devotee, devotees were pretty fearless in many ways, huh? In many ways. They would go anywhere practically.
Yeah.
And when I joined the temple in London, one of the first things, the devotee was shaving me up. I've been hearing about your glorious shaving pastimes today. This devotee was shaving me up. And he asked me where I was from. I just joined the temple, first day. And he said, where are you from? And I said, I'm from so and so. Oh, really? We haven't got any devotees preaching there. Maybe after a couple of weeks you can go there and start a center. A couple of weeks, Even you weren't initiated, you just didn't know much. Just do it. Depend on Krishna. Empowerment. It was some more of that mood was there, this boldness. Now it's like, oh boy, you haven't given a class in 20 years you've been in the temple. And still not even able to give a class. We're afraid to give a class. We're not allowed to give a class because you're still a young devotee. Or whatever it is. Or going out, opening a center, or going to a new field, preaching field. Imagine Prabhupada's situation. So he asked this question of his God brothers and their disciples, whoever was there. And it's all everyone's looking at each other. There was no answer. There was like, well, maybe it really means just in India. That's what I heard him saying. I didn't know Bhavana. Maybe it just means in India. No, it says the whole world. Every town and every village. That includes Galam. Everywhere. Is that what it's called? Galam?
Galam.
Galam. Gay Glum. Gay Glum.
Gay glum.
Gay Glum. What a name.
Yeah. Think of it like as in a glum, which I think a glum might be a type of place, and it's a glum for gay people. Gay
Oh, okay.
glum.
Glay Slum, Glay Glum. Whatever it is. And it's got to be everywhere. Whether it's gay or whether it's glum. Every village you have to have the holy name spread and chanted. Huh? So Prabhupada said, who's going to do it? And I said, and they used to kind of look, they would joke, they were friends, you know, Sridhar Maharaj's followers. They were friends in terms of devotion. And they would sometimes call, oh, you're just like a kacha grihastha, like, you know, you're just an entangled grihastha. And, you know, and Prabhupada said, don't worry, it won't be one of you. It'll have to be a kacha grihastha who does. That's what he told me. Bhavananda told me that. So I don't know, but there's nothing recorded, but that's what he said, Prabhupada said to him one time. That he would do it and he'd have to be the one to do it. Prabhupada himself at that time, it was Rabbi Charan. He would have to do it. It won't be one of you. Huh?
Where did that come from? Kacha?
Kacha, it means like second. The God brothers, they used to live together, so they used to talk to him like joking, you know, like you might joke to each other. Bravo, come on, Preeti, you're just, you know, when you're with intimate friends, you sometimes address each other in different ways. You know, you wouldn't do it in public, but you know, he would. So he used that after he. So Prabhupada, this was his life and soul. How to do it was the question. When Krishna was going to give the. So here we are. It's happened by miraculous, absolute miracle how it happened. And then we have Bhaktivinoda Thakur, of course. I mean, the predictions of Bhaktivinoda Thakur are penned. They're actually there in recent writings, isn't it? Oh, when that day will come, when the fair-skinned men from their side will come to Mayapur embracing their Bengali brothers. Please accept us. We've also taken shelter of Lord Chaitanya. Jai Sachinandan, Jai Sachinandan. And all the towns of the world, in Germany, in France, in America, in Australia, and everywhere, the people will be dancing through the streets with banners and cartels, raising the holy name of the Lord everywhere. When will that day come? When will that day come? And they will come to the shores. They will come to the shores of the Yamuna, of Ganga. They will come to Mayapur. All of them, from all these countries, they will come and unite under the banner of Nam Sankirtan. When that day will come, when all the religions of the world will flow into the Vaishnava Dharma, one river back to Godhead. This was his prediction. That day will come. And then later on he penned, and it was before Prabhupada's appearance in this world, he wrote, very soon a personality will come to fulfill this prediction, who will go all over the world unrestricted, spreading this message of Krishna consciousness all over the world in foreign lands. So he also predicted this. So shortly after that, Srila Prabhupada appeared in the world in 1896. And history speaks for itself after that. But we're going to read now from the diary of Srila Prabhupada. This is from the journey to the USA. The Jaladuta set sail for America. So we're well on the journey. As you may know, the journey went into the Bay of Bengal. It was a bit rough. Prabhupada reached Colombo. There he celebrated Janmashtami with the crew members. Then he moved on to Cochin, where he picked up. The amazing thing was he had all the 200 sets of his first canto Srimad Bhagavatam waiting to be picked up. They were shipped from Bombay to Cochin. He picked them up on the boat. They were loaded on the boat in Cochin, together with a few thousand little brochures. India's message of peace and goodwill. This was a little brochure which Mr. Choksi, who was the secretary of Mrs. Maraji, who was in charge of the Scindia Steamship Company, had published on Prabhupada's direction. And they'd arranged to send them all down to Cochin, boarded on the Jaladuta, loaded on. So Prabhupada went with 200 Srimad Bhagavatam sets, first canto. He felt like now he's not alone. He's got the best association with it. But Prabhupada also said one time that there you can find it. Actually, I didn't go with the Srimad Bhagavatam. Exactly. I didn't take the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Srimad Bhagavatam. I went with the Srimad Bhagavatam. Not that the Srimad Bhagavatam went with me. The Srimad Bhagavatam went to America. I accompanied the Bhagavatam. He saw like himself as a servant of the Srimad
I mean, how
Bhagavatam.
did they get from Boston to New York?
On the boat.
It was first in Butler,
Well, the boat unloaded in New York. It docked in Boston for 2 days. Then it went, after 2 days, it went on to New York. And everything was unloaded in Brooklyn, at the pier in Brooklyn. And then it was kept, I think it was kept with the Scindia steamship for a while. Then probably was gradually taken in for distribution. Yeah. Krishna's miraculous arrangement, but he went with armed with the Bhagavatam, you can say, first canto. And as you were saying about this young boy who read that first canto and was looking for the author. So amazing story. In Tompkins Square Park, incredible story. That was amazing. So let's read a little bit anyway. Pardon?
Ken Casey and the Merry Pranksters. That was the group, the famous underground group.
Oh, yeah.
Literary personalities, avant-garde people.
Yeah.
Traveling around the United States in a yellow school bus.
He was a member?
Yeah.
Wow, far out. Which band was Vyasaki in?
I don't know, I never...
I'm not sure. Someone said he was in Quintessence, but I don't remember him from them.
Quintessence?
I don't think he was in Quintessence. He was in one of those groups. I don't know which one it was.
Quintessence, they had a beautiful album out.
Oh, they were.
It was the first album I heard.
They were the rage of the progressive music. They were amazing. English group.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back to the 11th. Now, yesterday was the 11th of September.
I'm in contact with one of the quintessence.
Pardon?
I'm in contact with one of the quintessence.
Really?
Yeah.
I was a fan of the Quintessence.
I live in Australia,
Okay. Interesting.
Sydney.
Well, let's read from the 11th of September onwards. This is, yesterday was the 11th. It was Radhastami yesterday here, but it wasn't Radhastami here. Prabhupada's on board the ship. He had many heart attacks on the boat in the Arabian Sea. The sea was very rough. He thought he was going to leave his body. And there's no record for about 6 days in the Jaladuta diary. He said it's getting too heavy. Then he said after about 6 days, he said, we've passed over this great trial. We will have to write a separate document about what happened, but I don't think anything really was written. It never got done. But he somewhat recovered and gradually gained his strength. So by the 11th of September, Srila Prabhupada gained strength. And he wrote, today the ship ran on very smoothly. It's in the middle of the Atlantic. The sky was clear and there was sunshine all the day. At about 7:30 in the morning, we passed by the Azore Group Islands, which are under Portugal. They're in the Atlantic. Azore, the Azore Islands. There's a bunch of islands out there in the Atlantic, way out. And they're under the, they belong to Portugal. So the boat passed nearby there. Prabhupada mentioned it in his diary. There was again a rehearsal for lifeboat saving at 4:30 p.m. In case they would have regular rehearsals, what to do if there's, some unexpected or unprecedented problem with the ship. There was rehearsal also of the fire brigadiers, in cases of fire. At night there was profuse moonlight on the ocean. You can just visualize Srila Prabhupada, the ambassador of the holy name, on board this ship in the middle of the ocean with all this going on. And he's just giving us this little opportunity to enter into this vision. And there's profuse moonlight, it's a clear night, but there's lurching. That means the boat is moving a bit, left and right. But did not affect me very much, as it used to do in the Arabian Sea. So Prabhupada wasn't very disturbed. The Atlantic Ocean is more kind to me than all other seas so far we have crossed over. It is all Lord Krishna's grace. So it reads 3 days. I think the 12th is a Sunday, 12th of September 1965, which is 59 years ago today by the Western calendar. And Prabhupada writes S.R.Day. I don't know what he means by that. I wonder what he means. I tried to find out today with no success. But it's written day as in the day of the week. It's not D-E. D-E would be a Bengali name. Mr. Day, that was his own name. Unless it's misspelled, I don't know. But it says D-A-Y. S.R. Day. I could find nothing on that day which referred to S.R. Day. I don't know if you found. I thought maybe it was, at first I thought, oh, wait a minute. Maybe that means Srimati Radharani Day. S.R. But then I calculated that actually Radhastami was a week before this. It wasn't. Sorry?
He compiled a whole book about it.
Well, there's no mention there of what S.R. Day means.
I can ask him.
Ask him if he knows what it means. S.R. Day. Today, Prabhupada said, there is a great deal of lurching, although the sky is clear. In other words, the boat is moving back and forth like this. Mrs. Pandya, if you know who that is, that's the wife of the captain. The ship captain was known as Mr. Pandya, and his wife, of course, was Mrs. Pandya. Although a little lady, but very intelligent and learned also, she has foretold about my future. You know what she foretold? It's not mentioned here, but it's mentioned elsewhere. What did she say? Now, she said something like, well, at least that's what's recorded in the Leela Amrita. There's no direct word proper there, but she said that if you pass over this difficult period, by certainly you will get Krishna's grace in your mission. If you can pass over this difficult period of the journey. And Prabhupada was very encouraged by her words. Thanks to her prediction, all blessings of Lord Krishna for her, Prabhupada said. The crisis which I suppose to have crossed is also mentioned by her. If I have crossed the crisis, then that is goodwill of Lord Krishna, my friend and philosopher. Prabhupada called Krishna his friend and philosopher. He's the greatest philosopher. In the evening there was too much lurching and I felt a bit seasickness. I could not take my food properly. A little sweets were accepted with some relish. The lurching continued till midnight. And then on Monday the 13th, today is the 32nd day of our journey from Calcutta. After midnight yesterday, the lurching decreased and I felt relief. In the morning also I could not take my breakfast properly. Then I cooked bati, I think it's khichdi, it says khichdi, I think it's bati khichdi. It appeared to be delicious and I was able to take some food. Today I have disclosed my mind to my companion, Lord Sri Krishna. There is a Bengali poem made by me today in this connection. At about 11, there is a little lurching. The captain tells that they have never seen such calmness of the Atlantic. I said it is Lord Krishna's mercy. His wife asked me to come back again with them so that they may have again a calm Atlantic Ocean. If Atlantic would have shown its usual face, perhaps I would have died. But Lord Krishna has taken charge of the ship. And you hear different stories. Gargamuni Prabhu, who apparently directly heard from Prabhupada, describes it wasn't like Krishna was in the ship, the Jaladuta, but rather he and all of his incarnations were in a ship in front, and they're rowing the boat in front, pulling the Jaladuta behind, and it's making the sea calm, making everything very calm. Transcendental vision. But whatever it was, Prabhupada says, Krishna has taken charge of the ship and is making all arrangements. Big lesson to learn, you could say, that that's what's going on. ultimately to realize that Krishna is the controller. We are simply, in a sense, passengers in the ship. We just have to play our part. So those are just some little snippets there from the Jaladuta diary. And that poem, which Prabhupada wrote, is a very famous poem. Who knows what it is? He wrote a poem on the that will be tomorrow, on the 13th. Who knows the name of that poem?
No, I forgot the marking Bhagavan.
No. Oh, I thought somebody might say Markine Bhagavat Dharma. He wrote that on the 18th of September. We're the 13th, so this is 4 days before his arrival. Boat docked on the 17th in Boston. So he wrote this poem called, the Bengali I don't know, but it's called Prayer Unto the Lotus Feet of Krishna. It's a beautiful poem. And tomorrow morning, why we can sing it? Pardon? Prayer to the Lotus Feet of Krishna. 2 poems he wrote on board the Jaladuta. One was this one. The other one was when the boat was in Boston Harbor. He wrote Markine Bhagavat Dharma. Preaching Krishna consciousness in America. That's what it means. Markine Bhagavat Dharma. Preaching the message of Bhagavat Dharma in America. But this one is prayer. Prayer unto the lotus feet of Krishna. These 2 prayers, or poems as they were, are in many ways, you could say, the constitution of ISKCON. The constitution. We talk about all kinds of external things. We do this, we don't do that, this missionary spirit. Good. But the real foundation is to be found in these 2 prayers. Prayer to the lotus feet and Markine Bhagavat Dharma. The essence of how, no matter what plans we make in Krishna consciousness, without the proper attitude, without this foundational spirit, they will not spiritually have a long-lasting effect. They will have external effects, facilitating, but they will not go deep. These prayers indicate the depth of Krishna conscious mission. It's not just an external implementation, it's internalization. So in these 2 prayers, we find Srila Prabhupada revealing his heart to Krishna and depending entirely on Krishna. It's not like I've got my plan and we're going to do it. His plan was to try to fulfill the order of his spiritual master, which he made his very life and soul in his mission. So if you want to join us tomorrow, we can try to sing this prayer unto the lotus feet of Krishna and go through the meaning of that prayer, at least the translation of it. We can never touch the real meaning because one would have to be on that level of consciousness to experience that. At least we can touch it. Hare Krishna, well it's 8 o'clock. Don't want to keep everyone up too late.
Yeah, I'm patiently waiting for dinner.
I'm sure you're not the only one who is doing the same thing. I'm sure that many of you are maybe not so patient as you. There we go, someone's telling you it's time for dinner. Is dinner ready? Is there dinner? They have dinner, okay, good. You call it dinner. Dinner.
Yeah,
Dinner, okay.
You call it supper?
Some people call it supper. Mm. You know, supper comes from a Sanskrit word. Did you know that? The word supper. If you read the pastimes of the Anakut ceremony in the Bhagavatam, you know, when Lord Krishna was on the residence of Govardhan and Vrindavan were performing the Anakut to Giriraj, one of the preparations they offered was a liquid vegetables. Vegetable liquid, like vegetables in liquid, you know. And the Sanskrit word for that preparation is soup. That's what it is, soup. And that's where the English word soup. And in the evening in England, which maybe it came from there, but we used to always have soup and bread in the evening. So it's called supper. It became supper. Soup. So it's a Sanskrit word, soup. S-U-P in Sanskrit, it became S-O-U-P in English. But it means liquid vegetables, which is basically what soup is, blended or otherwise, but it's liquid vegetables. soup. So it's a Vedic prep, so have no doubt about it. I don't know if you have soup for supper, but soup and bread. Typical English evening in the evening you have. On Friday you have fish and chips. That was a special day. That was the
Except we're gonna have to find some sort of, Krishna devotee friendly vegetarian alternative to fish.
Here you go. They do have it, don't worry. There are plenty of vegetarian alternatives
So it
to
would
that.
probably be fried tofu and chips.
You got it. That's one of them. Yeah, that's one of them. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said also, if you know how to cook eggplant properly, you have to fry it in such a way with hing and this and that. It can taste just like soft fish. Well, in Bengal, who can live without fish? Rice and fish are like the staple diet of 90% of the people in Bengal. They call fish, vegetable, fruit, water vegetables, They don't see it as they see it differently. So some alternative is there, and that was this way of cooking eggplants. That tastes like that, somewhat, I don't know, but somewhat. Prabhupada did the same thing with fried curd, cheese. Deep fried. We used to call it meat eater's delight. You remember the meat eater's delight? Mahabrinjal, the Sunday feast, Mahabrinjal. You make paneer. You make the paneer, very good, nice paneer. You fry the paneer very nicely in the ghee, and then you soak it in the whey overnight. You soak it in the whey, and it becomes like, ooh, rich and juicy and and almost the people think they're eating meatballs. So Prabhupada called this meat eater's delight. I don't know if Prabhupada called it. That's what it became known as anyway. There's so many Prabhupada calls and Prabhupada says, but it was called meat eater's delight anyway. And all the meat eaters love this preparation, this Mahabrinjal Sunday feast. We wouldn't go without Mahabrinjal on the Sunday feast. And pushpan rice, Mahabrinjal, and so many other preps. Dozens of preps. Delicious preparations. And Prabhupada introduced all this. He started the Sunday love feast in the Bowery, actually. His first Sunday feast were in the Bowery. Sunday love feast started in the Bowery. You can read that in the book, the diary, which has been titled The Beginning. And that diary did not manifest till, 15, 20 years ago. It wasn't there when the Lilamrita was written. Many facts are there which nobody knew about. Nobody knew. That diary was being kept by one of Prabhupada's disciples for about 25 years without telling anyone. He found it in Second Avenue or something, and he kept it all those years and never revealed it. And then eventually he revealed it. That was handwritten diary. So nice, anyway, everything has its reasons. The Sunday love feast. It's time for supper, don't worry. Supper is waiting. Jai.
One last thing I wanted to say before we move on. There's an interesting thing that the sculptor of the Queen David Wynne, he was contracted to make a sculpture of the Queen. And Shamashundra gave him a copy of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. While the Queen was posing,
Got a good name, hasn't he? David Wine.
Posing before David Wynne for the sculpture, she read Bhagavad Gita. And after that she commented, how marvelous it would be to completely trust Krishna. What a relief to be able to pass all responsibility unto him.
Isn't that wonderful? It's amazing, isn't it? If you didn't get that, the Queen had one sculptor. Sculptor means a personal person who makes like stone busts and statues and things, expert guy. David Wine, he was a friend of George Harrison's. So he had some affinity with the Krishna movement. So one time he came to see Srila Prabhupada, and as Prithu Prabhupada said, actually he was asked, Prabhupada asked him, have you read the Bhagavad Gita? And then Shamsundar explained like this, he had one copy, of the Bhagavad Gita. The Queen also had the copy, which she'd apparently given to him, and she said, like Prithu said, it would be very nice. The Queen of England said, if everyone could have this trust in Krishna and depend on Krishna, give the responsibility like that.
How marvelous it would be to completely trust Krishna. What a relief to be able to pass all responsibility.
Isn't that wonderful? The Queen of England. That's what David Wine said. And he was a personal associate of the Queen of England. She wasn't an ordinary person, whatever people say, she was what she was. But 70 years as the Queen of England, that's a world record, isn't it? I mean, she wasn't an ordinary girl, that's for sure. She had something. And you can see she had Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, she had it. Many have it, but she could feel that this is not just an ordinary book of some cult. She felt there's something real here. Anyway, that was nice. Thank you for bringing that to the surface.
Last, there was a Sankirtan devotee. He was just doing Bhagavad Gita at the Lake of Geneva. And there was a huge mention there as his chaplain.
Yeah.
So he pushed it, you know the story?
Yeah.
He pushed it.
Guru Das tells that
The
story.
lady came out in a car, he opened the gate and said, "Can I help you, young man?" He said, "Yes. I tried to found a Swami chaplain for him, with my husband." She said, I wanted to give him Bhagavad Gita. I said, he has Bhagavad Gita. In the last 2 months of his life, he went every evening to the lake and read Bhagavad Gita.
And then he left his body. Again,